Yo, what's going on, people? Welcome back to a brand new video. Welcome back to another Pucks reaction. Now, I'm just gonna react to, like always, what's happening in the Chelsea media. I mean, not just in the English media in general, because obviously there is always a lot. And if you're a Chelsea supporter, you know your team's name is always in the media. People just talking a lot of rubbish. But today, I want to react to my players in relation to Nicholas Jackson. You saw the game against Tottenham. He was substituted and he was a bit emotional. He went on the bench, started crying. Listen, there's so many ways we can look at this situation. Now, first of all, let's talk about his performance in that game. Jackson has been taking his chances this season. He has been scoring goals for fun. He has been scoring goals, difficult chances, by the way. So he's one of the guys that actually started his season quite all right. If you're comparing it to the last season, and he's one of our players that we've always been looking to see goals from him, and he's been giving us that. But against Tottenham, I don't think it was kind of his game. Well, first of all, as a striker, especially if you're like a Jackson type of striker, even the Haalands, even the Hurricane, not every game is meant for you. I mean this in the sense of like when you're playing, there are certain teams which plays a low block. It's very hard for a striker who likes to stay in the box to actually outstand and actually give you goals. And then when you're playing a team like Tottenham, obviously maybe a little bit of like Man City, not even Man City, Man City. Those are teams that likes to keep the ball as well themselves and like to, overlap and create chances and, attacking football, right? So you're gonna have your striker have chances as long as you're creating. Now, coming from Chelsea's standpoint, we've been creating good chances, but in that game, Jackson, we can argue he could have had a goal or two in that game, maybe one, but he didn't because he wasn't having the best game of his life. And from a player point of view, it's allowed in the sense not every player or there's no single player that is gonna have completely a superb kind of game in each and every time they play. Each and every player that I can think of, even the ones you call the gods. We're talking about the Ronaldos and the Lionel Messis. They've had games when they were quiet. They've had games when they were missing chances. They've had games themselves that they weren't happy with their performances. So when I look at Nicholas Jackson here, in that game, he didn't have the best game of himself. I mean, of his life. And even him, he reflected on it, and he was being emotional. Now, I know on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, wherever social media you see all these things coming from. But especially on Twitter, I've seen some other people trying to accuse of him being selfish person just because he got substituted. I don't think he was crying because he got substituted. I think he was crying because he felt like he didn't do much himself. And for me, if that was the case, that I'm thinking, it's a good thing because I want my players to be emotional. I want my players to want to do best or good for the club in the sense like I want them to score goals, create chances, defend well, everything that the coach asks them to do. So I'm looking at this from a different point of view. Like say Jackson was disappointed by himself because even us, for example, the fan base, we were disappointed because the Jackson we've been seeing or the Jackson of this season has actually been the Jackson that takes chances and score goals. But apparently, or unfortunately, it didn't happen on the Tottenham game. And I think he felt like, he let the team down because the game was a bit too close. It could have gone either way. It could have been a draw. It could have lost that game. Obviously, there's a lot to talk about in terms of mistakes were made and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I just wanted to say, man, if Jackson was crying because he felt like, or he felt disappointed for the fact that he didn't do well, because there's been a couple of times Jackson has been substituted for Christopher Nkunku, and we don't see him being that way. And if you look at the games that he got substituted in the past, these are the games where he probably could have done better himself, and the fan base could have also agreed to that point. So I can't say he's a selfish person when I look at Nicholas Jackson. I don't think so. I just think that he was a bit disappointed by himself, and that's a good thing to have in a team. You know what I mean? Because some people making it seem as if like, he's angry because he got substituted. He wanted to play more, blah 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 blah. No, I don't think that was the case. But anyway, we move. I think yeah, I think that's all I gotta say when it comes to Jackson. But you can take it however you want to take it. But for me, I just think he wasn't happy with his performance. And then he went on to do the interview. I'm not sure if this interview was before or after the Chelsea game against Tottenham, but it came after. But I don't know when it was recorded. So they were asking him about the criticism that comes in the media and the fan base. And Jackson was like, I want to hear the people say bad things about me. Obviously, not bad things in terms of like wishing bad for him and the family, blah, blah. Like other people take it a little bit too far sometimes, and you know this. But he was basically talking about, you know how when we criticize him saying, he misses, open chances, blah, blah, blah. That type of criticism is basically saying that it actually drives him to want to do better. Anyway, let's just finish his call. He said, I want to hear people say bad things about me. Criticism on the pitch, it's nice. It helps you. I love you. I love this. Uh, yeah, so it's basically just saying if you criticize on the stuff that I do on the pitch, like I don't have a problem with it. I actually want it because it drives me to want to do better. And that's a good thing. So to me, right, if you put this point in the point that I just made in the beginning about him crying not because because he didn't do much in the game, with this type of comment that he just made, again, I don't know whether it was before or after, it kind of sums up the fact that he's just one player that just like want to do good for his, for his club. So to me, I don't have a problem with it. Now, another point I'm going to touch base on is the Cucurella one. Apparently, Puma's facing a marketing disaster after Cucurella binned their newly launched 220 pounds boots, which he wore against Tottenham after trying them in training. The boots were advertised as specialized in three features: adapt adaptability, movement, control. However, Cucurella did not display any of these attributes and switched to another pair of Puma boots instead. Now, I know a lot of people have been saying that you change stats for stats. So what's the difference then? And it's funny again because the first Puma boots wasn't working for him. You saw with the mistakes he was making by slipping. But then he went again and put on the Puma boots as well. So is it a Puma thing? Is it a Cucurella thing? But here's the thing. Some people were saying that, I played football as well, but obviously we didn't have the what's that called? The privilege to have these Puma boots and Adidas and Nike. We were playing sometimes with barefoot. I'm talking about back in Africa. Even here, we were now, yeah, when I played in Australia, which is where I am right now, I got a chance to wear the Nikes. But my point is, right, we didn't have the privilege of just changing boots, just because I slept or whatever. But these guys are able to do that. But one thing people have been saying is, when they do the training before the game started, he didn't. You telling me he didn't sleep, or he slept, but then he just thought maybe that was just a sleep. Maybe it wasn't gonna happen in the game. So I don't know. It's a bit confusing, but yeah, man, Cucurella, man, paella. We don't know. This is not good, man. This is not good. But I don't know. Like I actually don't know. But listen, I care less about Puma. I care less about Puma. For me, I'm just happy that he got to recognize that it was the Bulls that was making him sleep, and then he changed them. He changed them, and I think to me that's all that matters. Every other thing about Puma and them, like I don't even wear Puma stuff, so yeah, I care less about that. So yeah, no, to hell with Puma. So anyway, it is what it is. But yeah, people, make sure you do subscribe to the channel and like the video, man. If you have any other videos you want me to make, just put down in the comment section and I'll see you guys on the next one.